Okay, I got the prompt that says the meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. So we are at 12, so we'll call the meeting to order. Sheriff McAndrew, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Sure. I pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Looks like everybody's here, so welcome. Happy August. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review the minutes of our last meeting that Tracy so ably and expertly gets out to us. If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
All moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, no opposed. The ayes have it. The meetings are approved. Tracy, have you gotten any emails on agenda?
No, on no agenda items.
Okay, so we'll head straight to the motions. First, motion. I'm looking at Mr. Jeffers. Is he going to join us or?
He is. He's here.
Okay. All right. So motion 20-2030, a motion to approve all current payables for the Community Corrections Center and the prison. I trust, again, everybody's had an opportunity to review those. And assuming that you have, I'll entertain a motion to approve all those. Do I hear one? Anybody?
So moved.
I'll make a motion.
All right, a second.
So moved.
Okay. On the question. No questions, so the motion will be put to a vote. All in favor of paying all current payables to the Community Corrections Center and the prison?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Current payables are paid. So we'll go to next our reports, and we'll hear from County Controller Mr. DeVillio.
Yes, Judge. Controller's report for July of 2020. The Controller's Office reviewed the prison inmate and canteen account reconciliations, which were prepared by the Prison Business Office for the month of July of 2020, and found no discrepancies between the reconciliations and the bank statements. The balance in the inmate account was $430,611.09 as of July 31st of 2020. The balance in the canteen checking account was $451,611.00 as of July 31st of 2020. And in addition, as of July 31st, the canteen account owned 2 certificates of deposit, one valued at $15,000 even, and the other at $132,206.34, which total $147,206.34. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for the controller? Thank you, Mr. DeVillio. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the controller's report.
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. The motion carries. The controller's report is approved, and right on cue comes our Chief of Staff, Mr. Jeffers, who will give us the Community Corrections Center report, if you will.
Good afternoon, Judge, Board. How are you today? The Community Corrections Program report for July 2020. we had 148 participants in adult house arrest and 2 participants in juvenile house arrest. The program totals for revenue, item 2, for the month of July total is $42,670.19. Our program's expenses for the month of July total $80,146.71. Our program's completions for house arrest had 30 completions and they had 13 violations. Our warrants, item 6, there are still 6 warrants for work release and 2 for house arrest. And the budget report, overtime is at 52% for the year, expenses at 50% for the year, and revenue is at 30% for the year. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
The violations seem a little bit higher than normal. Is that?
Suboxone.
Okay.
This month and last month, the totals were in the double digits, the teens. I think last month was a dozen, if I'm not mistaken, sir. And the majority of those are going back for Suboxone.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mr. Jeffers? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Community Correction Center report for the month of July.
So
Motion.
moved.
Have a second
Second.
on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The report for the Community Corrections Center for the month of July is approved. Thank you, Mr. Jeffers.
Thank you, board.
You put your chief of staff hat on now. So next we'll go to the warden, Warden Betty.
Good afternoon, Board. The average daily population for July 2020 was 546 inmates, 376 were county inmates. As of 8/12, we had 569 inmates, 501 were adult males, 64 were adult females, and 4 were juvenile males. The population of U.S. Marshal Service detainees as of 8/12 was 174. The overtime report is attached. Currently, our correctional officer numbers break down to 164 full-time officers on shift, 2 out on workers' comp, 1 on continuous FMLA with 52 intermittent FMLA, 1 on administrative leave, 0 vacancies for a total of 168 full-time officers. 3 officers were reactivated at the end of July due to an increase in the inmate population and the subsequent need to reopen a housing unit. In June, we averaged 500 inmates a day. In July, that daily average was at 546. And on the date we reopened the housing unit, our population was 575. That's why we had to reactivate several. Budget as of July 31st, revenue was at 36% and expenses were at 58%. Inmates that are past the minimum dates, total is 13. 4 of them have no home plan, 4 have home plan submitted and are awaiting approval, and 5 have been remanded for the balance of their sentences. Extraordinary occurrence reports. There were 5 extraordinary occurrences in July. On July 10th, a federal detainee was uncooperative during the intake process. He was transferred to the Lackawanna County Prison shortly after having had allegedly assaulted a nurse at his previous facility. The detainee began to act out.
I think we lost the warden.
I'll call him.
I hope it's just a communications problem.
I'm sure it will be, Judge.
Well, you know, when I was back in my days as a DJ, it used to be kind of unsettling if I'd call out there looking for somebody and no one would answer the phone. That's not a good sign if you're calling the jail and nobody answers.
You should be able to see that he's not on the screen.
Well, he's in the old part, in the old building, and I imagine that the transmission in and out of that building, if it's Wi-Fi, is
Right.
not the easiest.
Yeah, but we've never had that issue before, so I don't know why that would happen today.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost another one.
No, you didn't.
His computer battery died, so he has to wait for it to sort of recharge. I don't know if you guys want to move on to the opportunity for the public to address the board, because I do have 2 emails I have to read.
If his battery takes as long to charge as mine is, well, it's going to be a little while. So I'm not talking about my computer battery either. So let's move on to, and we'll come back to the warden. You said you had a couple of emails from the public.
I do. I have 2 of them.
Okay.
The first one is from Angela Furman, her name. She says, "Good afternoon. I reside here in Green Ridge, and I have been doing some research on the current events that are taking place in the county, and I am mortified at how many civil rights are violated by citizens on a daily basis. I'm a 26-year-old college student at Lackawanna College and would like to get involved with the local council members or city officials in volunteering my time to help the inmates register to vote if they are able. I know that there are restrictions due to COVID and am aware of the difficulty that can come with organizing these types of events. I wanted to know what the prison is doing in educating the prisoners and that they are able to vote in some cases and how their vote does matter and to get them registered or not. I also wanted to see what other programs you all have for reform in the prison and the statistics on the outcomes of the programs as well. I understand all of you are very busy, but would love to help in this area if possible, even if it is over the computer or to send some information into the prisoners. I am an LPN and am really passionate about fair treatment and quality healthcare, and would also like to know what type of education you have about HIV, AIDS, and other BBP. I would also be willing to come and teach a class on these matters as well. I understand that the prison has counselors and you are short-staffed and from my understanding in the areas, but I find that these 2 topics are very important and I hope you all would too. Please reach out to me via email, and she also provides a telephone number."
Okay, that's great. So what I'll do, Tracy, is ask you to forward that email to everybody on the board and as well as the warden,
Okay,
and we'll reach out to her. Love having somebody with passion and youth and ability. So see how we can help her at least get some answers to her questions and see if we can, put her in to assist
okay.
with volunteering. I can't speak to the voting efforts in the prison. I'm not sure if anybody in this group outside of the warden can address, the specifics of that. If anybody.
Your Honor, only to the extent that I think this question was raised last year and the warden's joining back in, but in response, the warden had indicated that there was the ability to register to vote, I believe, write-in ballots at the jail, and he was going to work, I think, with some of the regular prison board meetings attendees to ensure that the population was aware of that right and the way to exercise it. We're talking about voting, Tim, if you're coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, we went to the public inquiries, Tim, till you got your battery recharged. So that was the first inquiry on a number of different issues, but I've asked Tracy to send the email from the the individual around to everybody and to you. Angela Furman, I think is her name. She's a student at Lackawanna. Am I right, Tracy?
Yes, yes.
So she also happens to be an LPN. So she had a number of inquiries. The initial ones were with respect to what we do for voting at the prison. Can you speak to that briefly?
Yeah, sure. We've always been we don't advocate for or against an individual's right to exercise their right to vote. We certainly don't put any roadblocks up, and we help individuals when we can, how we can, but we do it very carefully because of the sensitivity of that whole topic. And if you recall, in recent months, we had Dr. Stephanie Bressler that had expressed an interest pre-COVID-19. I would get in touch with Dr. Bressler and see if she would mind me providing Ms. Furman's name or information to Ms. Furman so that they can connect with each other. There are certain individuals that can't vote while they're incarcerated, those that are convicted of a felony, for instance, but others can, and we certainly would not get in the way of somebody exercising that constitutional right.
Right. Okay. Well, rather than, interrupt the public, we'll just do, there was another question, and then we'll go back to your report, Tim. So,
Okay. The second one I received was from Bev DeBarros and her team, mostly about the books. She said, since COVID-19, our team has not had access to the prison, which is understandable. However, as a result, we are asking for your consideration in review of the following items. Number one, newspaper delivery. During this time of COVID isolation, we are all seeking ways to endure. Therefore, we are requesting that the local and national newspaper be delivered daily to each unit. The subscription of the newspaper could be paid for from the commissary checking account. It is our understanding that the money in this account is the result of profits from purchases inmates have made over the years. Our question to the board is this: shouldn't a portion of these funds be used for the benefit of the inmates? We are requesting that a subscription to the local and national paper be purchased for each unit. In these times, we all need to be informed citizens. And number two, book distribution. Again, COVID restrictions has rendered our book distribution program to inmates to be non-existent. Prior to COVID, some of the inmates eagerly awaited the call that the bookmobile had arrived. For those inmates, which were numerous, I am sure that the reading material is greatly missed. Since the Bible classes, religious services, and in some cases providing visitation escorts for family and friends are either non-existent or reduced. Therefore, our team is requesting the following: engage the COs and chosen inmates to assist with the book distributions. And we understand that COVID has caused changes in a lot of situations. However, we feel that the books and newspaper delivery is essential in keeping the inmates informed during this difficult time. Your help with these two requests is greatly appreciated by our team and the inmates. And that's it.
Okay. Tim, can the COs assist with book distribution?
Well, I was going to say my understanding is right now the books are kind of being recycled from unit to unit. We have plenty of books here. They are available. We don't have a staff member dedicated to supplying or going around and getting requests for books. It's something I can have looked into, and I don't mean this facetiously, but the staff are more focused on other matters than that, and I can certainly see if somebody can pick up that mantle and run with it as far as the books go.
I wouldn't follow the collective bargaining agreement either, but I think it certainly is something we can look at. I don't know how anybody feels about subscribing to newspapers.
Well, newspapers are currently, they are delivered here. Individuals that have individual orders for the newspaper, they come daily and they get distributed. I don't think that's a horrible idea that was expressed there, except for one issue. If we only got one newspaper for a housing unit, some housing units have 80, 90 people on it. That's a lot of You can't even have a page at a time for everybody that might be interested. Again, something we can look at. We would have to look at providing more than one copy of the newspaper per block is what we would have to do.
One of the things I think, at least with the books, can trustee inmates be tasked with circulating books?
Well, the only issue I have with that whole thing is trying to limit interactions that are going here for social distance purposes. If I did that, I already have kitchen workers and laundry workers that they under supervision are allowed to go to other housing units to deliver or drop off laundry or deliver meals. I try to limit the amount of movement that's going on during this COVID-19 crisis so that it would limit, if there was a positive case amongst the inmate population, it would limit the contacts individuals would have. Something we could take a look at. I haven't thought about that. I did want to mention though that with those tablets that we now have in play, there is an app on there for access to news media. It's like a streaming service, but you can get CNN and channels like that. I don't think that right now we have anything activated for a national newspaper, but I can have that looked into. I might be able to do USA Today or something like that free to the inmate.
Yeah, I think the concern really is just news. I don't know whether it comes through CNN or whether it comes through USA Today. I mean, I think the Express I have is about news for these people. So, you know, that's certainly, I think, you know, a good use of the tablets too. So,
right. So there is national news available to the inmate population through the use of the tablets right now.
okay. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Okay, Trace, that's it. Any other inquiries?
That's it.
Okay. So Tim, can we go back to your report?
Yeah, I believe when my power cut out there, I was on just getting to the extraordinary occurrence reports.
Yes.
And there are 5 of them, and I apologize if I repeat one, but I'll just start from the top. On July 10th, a federal detainee was uncooperative during the intake process. He was transferred to the Lackawanna County Prison shortly after having had allegedly assaulted a nurse at his previous facility. The detainee began to act out and become belligerent towards staff, and placement into our emergency restraint chair was ordered as a precautionary measure because he had just come from a facility where he allegedly assaulted a nurse. On July 15th, a county inmate had expressed suicidal ideations. This inmate would not cooperate with staff regarding an unclothed search. As a result, he was placed in the ERC to ensure his safety. Again, that ERC is the emergency restraint chair. On July 16th, a county inmate who was on a detox watch began acting irrationally. He then became argumentative with staff. He refused to comply with orders, and he began kicking and hitting his cell door. The inmate then expressed a desire to harm correctional officers, and then he started expressing suicidal ideations. A decision to move this inmate to a camera cell was made. However, due to his non-compliant behavior during the cell extraction, staff had to deploy OC spray, employ the use of an EBID, that's an electronic body immobilization device, and place him into the emergency restraint chair for his safety and the safety of staff. On July 23rd, a county inmate clogged his toilet with a variety of materials and was refusing to move out of his cell so that repairs could be made to that cell. Staff unsuccessfully attempted to verbally persuade him and had to resort to the use of pepper spray. This inmate then began to attempt to assault staff, and staff placed him in the ERC for his safety and for the safety of staff. And on July 28th, a female under the influence of meth was committed to the prison. This individual refused to comply with an unclothed search and started making threats against staff. She then began displaying signs of physical aggression, and a decision was made to place her into the restraint chair for the safety of staff. PREA, there were 2 PREA investigations completed in the month of July. Both were allegations of staff on inmate. One was deemed unfounded and one was deemed unsubstantiated. The completed pre-investigations have been forwarded to the district attorney's office. And this concludes my report.
Any questions for the warden on his report? I noticed the population's creeping up again. Do you still have a unit or two vacant for COVID purposes?
Yes, I still have 2 housing units of 32 beds on each side for females, so a total of 64 beds available for females. And I have 120 beds available for males if, God forbid, there is a breakout here at any point. So I have the housing units to still do that.
And I do want to take the opportunity to commend you for the job you've done with that, on that issue. I mean, you've had 2 positive cases and it's both been staff, so nothing for inmates. So that's, you know, you're doing a lot better than the rest of the country. So well done on that.
I just knocked on wood, Your Honor. So.
Anything else from anybody? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the warden's report.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The warden's report is approved. I have one item of business I want to bring up. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up? Okay. I wanted to bring up, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Dominic, because I know she's been intimately involved in this with the warden with respect to the deputy warden positions that were recently approved by the salary board. Can you tell the rest of the board, Commissioner Dominic, what you and Warden Betty have been doing with that? Because I think it's a matter that is required to have board approval under the statute. So before we do that.
Sure. So this was definitely a group effort. It started with Warden Betty, Justin McGregor, who's our HR director, and myself. And we worked over several months to try to figure out how to structure the prison, because we felt as though there wasn't a structure on top in terms of chain of command and a clear delineation of duties. So Tim and I talked about having 3 deputies, and he indicated deputy wardens, and he indicated when he had previously served as a deputy warden that there were 3. Even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, we're still have an opioid epidemic. People still have drug-related issues. So in order to properly address the main issues at the prison, which are treatment, security, and then regular operations, but to make sure that nothing fell through the cracks, we decided to split into 3 different wardens, deputy wardens. So there'll be the deputy warden of security, deputy warden of treatment, the deputy warden of operations. Under the deputy warden of security, he will have security staff oversight over the lieutenants, sergeants, correction officers, PREA supervisor. And we're also looking to get a intelligence captain to assist the deputy warden of security, particularly when he's away and not on site at the prison. Under the deputy warden of operations, it's primarily an administrative job, but we did add an HR compliance officer. So this HR compliance officer will not only report to the deputy warden of operations, but will also report and work with, in conjunction with, Justin McGregor. And the reason why we did that is because if you see in the warden's report, we have 52 intermittent FMLAs, and we have several other allegations that are out there concerning county employees abusing time, not reporting time, stealing time, in essence. So we feel as though we need somebody dedicated to that task. And then the deputy warden of treatment. This is what I was really excited about. Tim and myself, the deputy warden of treatment, we consulted with Scranton Counseling and Drug and Alcohol, and we came up with positions. There's going to be 2 substance abuse mental health specialists, and then 1 substance abuse mental health supervisor. That supervisor is not only going to oversee the specialists, but is also going to help the deputy warden of treatment and hold the fort down in the event that she is out of the prison doing other tasks, as she is the court liaison as well. We, I believe, just started advertising today for those positions. My hope is that we initially wanted 3, but budgetary, we couldn't do that. So we have 2 and then a supervisor. And our hope is that they have more direct contact with the inmates. I feel as though right now the prison and the medical department are almost like they're 2 separate entities, and there's no communication back and forth. So not only do we want to give people who are suffering from addiction, alcoholism, and mental health issues an outlet via one of these specialists, but we also want to use them to coordinate with the medical department, whoever that may be in January, because they'll have more contact. For example, if an inmate was placed on a medication and is having a bad side effect, you know, they can report it to one of the specialists. The specialist can then go back and report it to the medical. So really the whole structure of this is to adequately address those 3 areas. Security was a huge issue. And since Deputy Warden Shanley has returned, humongous progress has been made. Even thus far, and the warden can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel as though prison morale is increasing among our employees. We've had a lot of COs and guards doing investigations and finding drugs in the facility, particularly mostly Suboxone, but other things. So I really do believe that once we have the right people in place, qualified people, I think it's going to allow for a more smooth, I think it's going to allow the prison to operate more smoothly, and everyone's going to know what their job is, as opposed to having a deputy warden of operations being in charge with multiple things that one person can't possibly handle. And also, Tim and I, we really wanted to divvy up those 3 areas because security has become such an issue with drugs coming into prison. So under that, like we're having sheriffs man the prison. We eliminated contact visits because that's an area where they swap drugs. We, so far with the mail, we don't give the prisoners the envelopes anymore. Only the mail itself. They're still getting liquefied drugs via mail. So the deputy warden of security is looking into having the mail sent to a third party and having it scanned. So then that will prevent any drugs from coming in through the mail. And then with treatment, there's not really in place and any programs to help those truly suffering from drug and alcohol addiction. And I think what happens is they leave the prison in the same or worse condition than when they arrive, and then they're not on stable ground when they exit the building. They're at an uphill battle with the treatment courts that are amazing opportunities, but their chances of them succeeding at those because of no treatment in the prison is very low. So we're hoping that by treating these people inside the prison, when they are released, it will reduce recidivism and they will have a higher chance of succeeding in any treatment courts that they are placed, or just becoming functioning members of society. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Tim, you want to add anything? I don't.
Sure, just very briefly, I would just like to reinforce what Commissioner Dominic was saying in that the implementation, the development and implementation of what I call a 3 deputy warden system. It allows for a better delineation of duties. It improves the chain of command. Everybody knows where to go to with a problem. They'll have, besides myself, obviously, there'll be 3 deputy wardens, each with a dedicated field of expertise that individual will be dealing with. So I think that I'm sorry.
The 3 deputies?
I missed the front end.
Reporting to you, the 3 deputies directly?
Yes. Yeah. And as Commissioner Dominic had said, it'll be a deputy warden of security, operations, and treatment. Okay. Each of them will have their own field, if you want to call it field of expertise. I plan on having weekly meetings with these individuals so that we're all on the same page, so that if somebody's on vacation, everybody else can pick up where that person left off, or at least have a working knowledge of what's going on in that other department. It just makes for a much, I think, a better run facility. Again, I've experienced it back in 04, 05, 06, in that time frame when we had 3 assistant wardens. It was a very smooth running operation. And again, our own staff knew exactly where to go with any issues that were bigger than a common ordinary occurrence.
All right, good. Okay.
I would also, Judge, just like to add that when I've had numerous conversations with the warden, and speaking with him, he has a lot of great ideas that he just simply cannot implement or try to implement because he's so bogged down with administrative duties. It prevents him from implementing some of his ideas or getting to the, leaving his office. Basically, he's tied to his chair. So we hope that by doing this, it takes some pressure off him. So number 1, things run more smoothly, but number 2, that Warden Betty can shine as a warden and, implement some of his ideas, which I'm not going to disclose right now, but he has some really great ideas.
Okay, great. Anybody else have any questions?
And all of this was budget neutral.
Of course.
I think actually we saved money, right, Tim?
Yes, about $10,000.
Okay, that makes it even better. So, all right. Well, then as I read the statute, I think that the creation of these things are subject to the approval of the board. So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Oh, move.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All right, on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. So you got your deputies. You don't have as many as Mark McAndrew, but I don't know of anybody on the face of the earth that has as many deputies as Mark McAndrew. So
Oh. Be nice, Judge. I'll be up to see you later.
All right, any other business?
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
One other thing I want to mention, I know we're mandated to meet quarterly at the prison. I don't want anybody who might be watching or listening to think that we've forgotten about that requirement, but in view of the state of emergency declared by the governor I think that I think we need to suspend that obligation, but it will be put back into the rotation once we can all move around a little more safely as a group. So I just wanted to put that out there. So with that, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.